Alright, got the hydraulic tank all painted. Got the old tractor and some monstrosity ready to roll. Got the hydraulic tank in and set. I gotta bolt everything together. Some of the paint got scraped on the way in, but that's quite alright. That was really, out of all of this, the most awkward part because it had to fit in between the block and the cab. You see how we did it with the beam. The nose, that thing's actually pretty straightforward. As you saw in the last video, it sits right on the rail, so it isn't like it's unsupported. But yeah. Well, that actually went a lot easier than expected. I got this one started, then this one, and the other two just fell in, so that's cool. I did put it... Well, good morning everyone. You saw in the last video I was able to save this engine. And I had some paint. I said I may paint it, and I went ahead and did. I'm trying to keep the camera, or the sun behind me anyway. I didn't paint all of it because I don't have that much left, but I did pressure wash that, painted the bell housing, the hydraulic tank and the engine. The frame rails I gotta finish. There's a little bit of grease back there I want to clean off. And of course the cover I didn't do, I gotta get to that. But we had a rainstorm, as you can tell, all the water's beaded up. there's got to be something special about that one, but I'll get back to it. I know there's a thread there because I ran a bolt in it. I really got to figure out that oil line. There's got to be something special about that one, but I'll get back to it. I know there's a thread there because I ran a bolt in it. I really got to figure out that oil line. So one thing, I don't know if I pointed this out in a previous video or not, this has a different pump, hydraulic pump on the front, so they changed this front hose, and they had to splice in here and here to run the two hoses, I guess. Why the second splice, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I don't know what the factory one is the pipe over there is missing, so I wasn't quite sure, but we'll put this back together as it is and see what we wind up with as far as leaks go. I got the front cowl right here. Just got all my the gauges set, but I also ran a new line for the oil pressure gauge, so that's running out. So I'm probably going to set that up there. I got the hood set in. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the fuel pressure line. They had a compression fitting between these two, and the vibration, they tend to leak. I don't like them. I'm actually going to use a double flare union right here, and I'm going to use my hydraulic brake press. These things are really handy. I had one of these when I was running the garage years ago for making brake lines. Very handy kit. So down here in this kit, I'm going to use the double flare, which does it right in there. We're at the 1/4 inch. We're going to put this out. These blocks actually go around that line. Don't forget to put your nut on first. And then you've got to make your 1/4 inch crush, which that is your inverted quarter, 45 degree. So you're going to get that tool out. And because this is a double, you're going to have the cone. And I'm going to clean that up just a little bit. I haven't used this in a long time. Alright, so you take your 1/4 inch block together and you put it in the block holder on your tool. And this piece slides. This piece flips up. That actually tells you where your line stops, because it does have to stick out of this block just a little bit. So if you put that right up there, it's all set. This is ready to clamp down, but I got to put it on this first. Get my tool to tighten it up. I get it pretty snug. Next, we're going to use our crush tool. Crank that right down inside the pipe, all the way down in. You'll see it. There you go. And now I'm turning the whole handle, and when it stops, so you tighten this up and you squeeze that handle. And when I start squeezing, you can see it right there, that it's going to push that in. And then it stops. But this pushed all that right into the cone here. Relieve the pressure. Back that off. You don't have to go all the way, but I back it right off. This thing is going to tend to stick, so you start turning it out, and it usually pops out. Take this one out. Now you're going to put your cone in. that I didn't clean. I don't know if you can see that down in there, but it's half done. Just till it touches. Now you're going to tighten this part up, and you're going to turn this part. And that's about as tight as I go. Just a little snug. I don't kill it. Especially on this, because this is copper tin. Loosen that up. Back this off. Whoop. Alright, that looks pretty good. Don't forget the nut. Pipe right to the end, right where it belongs. Well, the end of this. You know what I mean? That looks great. Yeah, got that one all done, and that runs from the T in there. One side of it goes out to the injection pump, and then this one runs up in here, and then right through to the oil pusher switch, which is right up in there. The only thing I gotta get in is the master switch right here, which doesn't seem like a problem till you realize these big thick cables got to go up to it, and they ain't really much for bending. Well, I'm gonna get on that next. Trying to shove this cable into that little wee spot. They'll go. Just may take a minute. I had someone make the statement that I had just filled it full of water and ran it as a static, but I really didn't pressurize the water. And that person is correct. What I showed in the video was just filling it up to water. Let me get that out. Water went everywhere. Anyway, what I showed was just filling this up here to water and starting the engine, running it, getting this really hot. There were no bubbles that came out of it, which means no compression gases were probably making their way up, but a good way to test this is to pressurize it. I didn't really have any type of apparatus here, so I ended up using from my old smoke machine. This is the adapter that you would stick in your fuel nozzle to pressurize it, and if you kind of work it in here at a correct angle, and it did take me a while to really fit this thing in here too, because it kind of only fit in one way. I think I'm getting it. And then on the bottom of the water plug, the water pump, I had used a cap plug. I had put some sealant on it and stuck it up in there and kind of duct taped it on. I did pressurize it up a little bit. When it was running, I had to change the oil. Well, let me back this up. I flushed out all the oil. I did another oil change, and I got fresh oil in it. Beautiful new oil. We filled the water system up to about somewhere in this range, and I pressurized it. I was able to get my vacuum pump, not my vacuum pump, but pressurizer in here, and I held it on, and I put probably 10 psi to it. I didn't stand here for hours, but it did seem to hold. I didn't detect any water in the new oil, so that's where I'm going to leave it. Continue forwarding on this with the aspect that should be okay. But I guess time will tell that, won't it? Alright. Very cool thing, I found another bulldozer, locally. It's not a Caterpillar, it's an International, but it is I guess you'd call it a track loader. It's International 100E with a clamshell bucket. I know nothing about him, but he said, hey, it's there, start it, if it runs, we'll work something out. So I took a battery out of this, threw it in the back of the truck. I think it'll fit. I'm going to go run down there and see if it'll start.